Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Korra news update. This time out we have the full description and cover for Legend of Korra Ruins of the Empire Part 3. So I expected this would be coming at some point, maybe it will be an SDCC reveal, but it's actually happened in the days leading up to it. Now, of course the way this has happened, like the last couple of times, is that Penguin Random House have put up a product listing for this, rather than it being a news reveal necessarily, but it's news to us, so it's news. So you can see here straight away, Ruins of the Empire Part 3, there is the cover, which is very nice, but we'll discuss it a little bit later on. February 25th, 2020 is the date. That is a Tuesday, so that's the standard thing of late with a lot of the comics, except for Team Avatar Tales for some reason. That still has the comic book store release date thing. Tuesday, that means it'll be released digitally first. February 25th is a Tuesday, yes. As for the date, I suppose it is February, so second month of 2020. And how does that compare to Ruins of the Empire Part 2, which at this point has a date of November 12th. So yeah, obviously this got pushed back a bit and is now coming out here. What that does mean is that there's only like 3 months then between books. I suppose it's more like 3.5 between Part 2 and Part 3. So, you know, that is interesting. I was almost expecting it to be a little bit later. That said, more than likely, I get the impression this might get a delay or two. Like, when have we not had a book that's just, you know, gotten some form of a delay? It'll probably end up getting a couple of weeks pushed back. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this book coming out in March, but we'll see. Maybe they'll change things for this, and this is the date for the whole time. But anyway, let's get into the description. So, Kuvira's true nature is revealed, and the Earth Kingdom will feel the consequences. Thanks to Commander Guan and Dr. Shang's brainwashing technology, all hope for a fair election in the Earth Kingdom is lost. Korra works with Toph, Sue, and Kuvira to plan a means to rescue not just the brainwashed Mako, Bolin, and Asami, but everyone else caught up in Guan's plan. With the Earth Empire potentially on the rise again, Kuvira pulls another trick from her sleeve. But whose side is she truly on? Written by series co-creator Michael Dante DiMartino, and illustrated by Michelle Wong, with consultation by Brian Konietzko and Tim Hedrick. This is the ultimate continuation of the beloved television series. Interesting right at the end there. Consultation by Brian Konietzko and Tim Hedrick. Tim Hedrick is new in terms of him being referenced as someone who they've consulted with for the comics. If you look at the description for Part 2, he is not listed here. It's just consultation by Brian Konietzko. Now they're specifically mentioning that Tim Hedrick is involved as well. Tim Hedrick, for anyone unaware, is a writer on Avatar and Korra. He wrote a lot of episodes of ATLA, as well as being on the writing team for Korra as well. So he is a sort of series veteran, and I think he would be right up there with the people who you'd put in this sort of a role who aren't Mike and Brian on the series. In terms of being able to do an Avatar kind of consulting type thing of like approving a product that features some new content. If it's not Mike and Brian, it probably would be someone like a Tim Hedrick who you'd ask to fill that role. Now, I'm wondering with this, is he brought on board because Mike and Brian are a little bit more focused on the Netflix show, so they need to have someone else in to assist on some of these other projects? I'm not sure, but it is an interesting one to think about. Why only for Part 3? Why suddenly bring him in? But definitely an interesting one to think about. I'm half kind of thinking here, like, if Mike and Brian are going to be going even heavier into the Netflix show, are they bringing Tim Hedrick in at the end of this to almost prepare him to take over as the writer for the next Korra comic series, if Mike maybe doesn't have the time to do that? That would be an interesting thing. That's some speculation here of just, something that could happen. If they need to get a new writer for the Korra comics, maybe Mike doesn't have the time. Tim Hedrick, because they've brought him in here, I think that's a really good shout. Given that Mike, especially with Ruins of the Empire, looks like he's delivered some good stuff. It'll be interesting to see Tim Hedrick's take. But anyway, let's discuss the content here. So it's all about the brainwashing technology, which was revealed at the end of Ruins of the Empire Part 1. We get basically spoilers here, I suppose, for effectively what is the main thing that happens in Ruins of the Empire Part 2, and that is that at some point along the way, Mako, Bolin, and Asami get brainwashed. They get re-educated, so to speak, to support Guan, and so they're on the other side of the things going into Part 3. And that means that we have Korra, Toph, Sue, and Kuvira as our main characters trying to, I suppose, win the day, save the Earth Kingdom elections, and get their friends back. I think this is interesting because I think a lot of people suspected that, Kuvira would be the one to get re-educated, brainwashed. But I think actually reflecting on it, it's probably better that they did it this way, because if you brainwash Kuvira, you take out the ability to really develop her, because she all of a sudden now is saying things that aren't really her, and it sort of takes away from her interactions with Korra, takes away her interactions with Su Yin, and so on. So it actually is a more interesting position for Kuvira to be on the side of having to help Korra, or wanting to help Korra get her friends back, and how she approaches that. Having to work with Toph and Sue and Korra to do all this. Now, they're setting up the idea that, she's going to pull another trick, and that will really determine what side she's on, in that they're either going to go down the direction of she's back to being a villain and manages to escape somehow, and will just be Korra's ongoing villain. That's definitely an idea if they don't want to try and redeem her. If they do want to try and redeem her, which I think probably is the direction, just because of the whole Su Yin thing, Batar, there's a lot up in the air. I think they'll lean more in that direction. I think the trick probably will be more for good. She'll do something that maybe Korra doesn't want her to do, but it might end up saving the day. We'll have to wait and see. I think there'll probably be a lot of context from Part 2 that we don't have here about what development Kuvira goes through, what her interactions with Toph and Sue had to offer, and what she's like heading into Part 3. Because the cover for Part 2, if you look at it, seems to almost suggest that she goes in undercover to Guan's camp, which is a re-education facility. That's why she wears that. And you'd think, she probably gets captured, she gets re-educated, but actually, how does everyone else end up that way? Does Kuvira go in with Asami, Mako, and Bolin, and those three get captured, she escapes and has to sort of fix that? Or what? It's definitely an interesting one about exactly what's going to happen. But I think that's a good position to be in. I hope, I suppose, with the way they execute this, that it doesn't just mean that Mako, Bolin, and Asami will just be sort of mindless, kind of almost zombies, almost like for the book, and that we maybe do get some potential for character development, especially Asami, given that they set up the whole thing with her and Kuvira. I could see them maybe doing some sort of a significant thing if they find some way about is there some action that you can perform on someone to immediately reverse the brainwashing, and maybe Kuvira being the one to do that on Asami to get her back. That could be a nice thing to do, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, it's going to lead to, I suppose, the idea of a big fight between, say, Korra versus Mako and Bolin or something like that. It probably will be like the cover suggests, to that exact 2-on-3 fight. I don't know what role Toph will play in the fight, Sue, but this could be actually very, very interesting to get those fights, because we've never really seen, I suppose, Mako and Korra have a fight or anything like that to see how they stack up against each other, especially Bolin being a lava bender. That could be a very dangerous fight, actually. So, if this leads to some good action, I'm kind of all for that. And just to see how kind of Korra does this thing of the heroes sort of being turned against their friends, that could be an interesting dynamic for sure. I'm not sure how many people predicted those characters getting brainwashed rather than Kuvira, but it's definitely interesting. Only other thing with the cover to get across, it's a really, really nice cover, I do really like it, is Zhao Fu in the background. So it looks like we shift focus from Gao Ling to Zhao Fu as Part 2 goes into Part 3, which either means that in part 2 they accept that Gao Ling has sort of fallen in a way. It's the election is won by Guan, and they have to move on to whatever way they're going to cover Zhao Fu. Now, I'm sort of happy about this in a way because it means they will be addressing, I suppose, Zhao Fu's status within the elections, and like, does that mean Su has to run in her own town or what? You know, those type of questions. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for Ruins of the Empire. I loved part 1. I'm super excited for part 2, and part 3, it looks like it's going in the right direction. I kind of like that there's no real spoilers about the details of Kuvira's arc, that we're going to have to wait and see those like flashback moments to see what her mindset is going into this. It probably does mean that even maybe going through part 2 we won't get that many answers. We'll probably still be sort of left kind of wondering, like, we'll have a few more scenes apart from just that one little flashback from part 1, and then it'll wait for part 3 to bring everything together properly for her. But yeah, interesting, and especially the mention of Tim Hedrick here. I'm really wondering, like, how important or not his inclusion as one of the consultants is, and does that relate at all to the extra workload with the Netflix show coming. But yeah, that has been the video. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the cover and description for Ruins of the Empire Part 3. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.